Hi everyone, welcome to an Intro to Drawing tutorial. Today we'll be learning about some of the fundamental tools to help you get started with drawing and sketching using pencils. In today's lesson, we will be going over the different types of sketching pencils you may see, some tips and tricks, as well as some supplementary tools that artists use. All of the demos today are done on the app Procreate on an iPad to simulate actual pencil and paper drawings. Feel free to follow along with what you have at home, and hope you enjoy. The first thing we're going to talk about are the different types of pencils. Yes, there are many different types of pencils that produce different results, but we'll be focusing on the most commonly found pencils at any art supply store. Please note that you don't necessarily have to have all of these tools to be able to create a wide range of tones and shades in your drawings. There are two main types, H, which stands for hard, and B, which stands for black. Hard, as its name suggests, means that the graphite is harder. This results in being able to create lighter lines and shades. Two common examples, as you'll see on the right, are 4H and 2H. As you can see in the swatches here, these two are the lightest. Black, on the other hand, are pencils with softer graphite, resulting in darker lines and shades. Two examples are 2B and 6B, the darkest two of the swatches on the right. And in the middle, a good happy medium is HB, which is in between the H and the B pencils. All of these pencil types are commonly found in pencil sets that you can purchase from any store that sells art supplies, like Blick, Michaels, and even Walmart and Target. The takeaway here is that the higher the number, the higher the intensity of H or B. What this means is that 4H is lighter than 2H because 4 is greater than 2, and 4B is darker than 2B. As you can see in the examples above, 4H is the lightest, and 6B is the darkest. There are general use cases for each of these pencil types, which we will now talk about. The lighter pencils, 2H and HB, are often used for sketching to create the outlines of whatever you're drawing. This is because the lightness of the pencils makes it easy to erase any mistakes. Have you ever pushed too hard while writing and spelled something wrong only to find it really difficult to erase your mistake? Similar things can happen while drawing, which is why I often like to use a lighter pencil to sketch. The middle shades 2B and 4B are used for light or mid-tone shading. An important thing to keep in mind while drawing is that it's easier to build things up in layers. Instead of going all in and shading everything really dark, it's easier to fix any mistakes by starting off with lighter layers, as you'll see in a moment. And finally, the darker shades 6B and 8B are used to deepen your shading and to add shadows. As you can see with the three spheres here, the HB one is the lightest and the 6B one is the darkest. What we're doing here is starting off with HB to lightly create the outline and do basic shading, then going over with 2B in the areas where we want to darken, and finally using 6B to create more intense shadows. Now that we've gotten an intro to the different pencil types and how we might use them, I just want to note that you are absolutely able to draw and create dimension without needing all of these pencils. In fact, like I said in the beginning, depending on the pressure that you draw with and shade with, you can get a very wide range of tones from just a single mechanical pencil. These tools are just suggestions in case you're curious and want to explore even further. So now I'll talk about two of my favorite supplementary tools. The first one is called a tortillon, or a blending stick. It's a tightly rolled up stick made out of paper that helps you get a smooth transition when shading. Most papers have texture, meaning that when you try to shade over it with pencil, you can still see some white spots through it, and that's because of the bumps created by paper texture. It may be hard to create a completely opaque transition if your paper is more textured. As you can see on the left, the paper texture is more obvious. However, when I use a tortillon to blend, it smooths the blending out, and you're not able to see as much white peeking through as shown on the right. Something I learned growing up is that I generally try not to blend with my fingers because the natural oils on your fingertips may ruin the quality of the drawing. Instead, if you don't own a tortillon, alternatives include Q-tips, paper towels, tissues, paintbrushes, pieces of paper, and honestly just anything that you think can smudge the pencil drawings. The second tool is a kneaded or soft eraser. It is an eraser that has a putty-like consistency and is really fun to stretch out. It's kind of like Play-Doh, except it's an eraser. A normal eraser will leave harsh erasure spots because it completely removes the graphite from the place that you erase. For example, I'm going to scribble something up here. When using a normal eraser, I'll be able to erase through my lines pretty cleanly. However, a kneaded eraser only lightens the area up because of how soft it is. Of course, if you rub it hard enough, a kneaded eraser can have a similar result to a normal eraser. Once again, I'll use a scribble up here as an example. I notice how when I mimic a kneaded eraser, the pencil is being lightened little by little instead of having everything erased all at once. Kneaded erasers are really great for a few reasons. If you accidentally mess up and shade something too dark, you can go over it with a kneaded eraser to lighten things up. In addition, it is also really good for creating highlights, which are bright white spots in areas of darkness that reflect light. So turn your attention back to the scribble. Let's say I wanted to create a bright spot somewhere. I can use my kneaded eraser to go over the same spot a few times. Since it's like Play-Doh, I can shape it to a fine point. I can use a whole surface. You really have a ton of options with it. I can also create lighter surfaces by going over a larger area to make my darker scribble lighter, as I'm doing here. I hope today's lesson was an informational introduction about the different kinds of tools that are useful for drawing. No matter what materials you have at home, it's possible to create beautiful art. I hope you'll take the time to try out some pencil drawings. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful week.